Okay, the last video for this particular lesson, and we're going to be dealing with distance problems. Distance problems use a formula. Distance equals rate times time. If we want to know the rate, we're going to divide the two sides by the t, or the time, and we end up with what? We end up with rate is equal to distance divided by time. So we have different ways to express this. If we want to know time, time would equal distance divided by rate, because again, all we do is divide both sides by the rate. So we have three possible formulas we can use with distance problems, depending upon how the problems are worded. But these distance problems, in actuality, are going to be presented in three different ways, okay? The first way is going to be if you start in the middle, one person goes one direction, the other person goes the opposite direction, and so we have distance A and distance B and a total distance. This is also expressed as two people leaving from two places away from each other, going towards each other, but again, it's the same thing. And so number one is the distance of A plus the distance of B is equal to my total distance. Okay? Number two method says, they start at the same time usually, and they go in opposite directions. Okay? Now this one, they're also going to start at the same time, but one of them drives faster than the other one, so therefore goes farther, and you're looking at the distance between the two. Okay? And this one also, they start at the same time. So we have the distance of B minus the distance of A is equal to my distance between. And they start at the same time. And they go in the same direction. So these are key points for being able to decide what's happening with these problems. Number three. Number three has the first one starts, and the second one starts and catches them. So in this case, you have A is equal to B, and they start at different times, as well as go in the same direction, because the second one has to catch the first one. Okay, so these are the three kinds of distance problems that are more complex that we will deal with. But you will also deal with just simply applying the formula. And that's exactly where we will start on these problems. Okay, number 6 says, if I travel at 50 miles per hour, how far will I have traveled in 6 hours? So we're traveling at 50 miles per hour, and the time, so this is the rate, and my time is equal to 6 hours. So we know the rate, we know the time. Which formula will I use? Distance equals rate times time. Rate is distance divided by time, or time is equal to distance divided by rate. Well, we know the rate and time, so we're going to want this one. My distance is equal to rate times time. Therefore, my distance is equal to 50 times 6, which is 300 miles. And notice how it's labeled. Labeling is very important on these word problems. And you probably noticed that earlier. I labeled things nickels and dimes and everything. Really important, okay? The next one says, if it took me 8 hours to travel 600 miles, what was my average speed? Well, my time on this one is equal to 8 hours. My distance is equal to 600 miles. I want to know the rate, which is your miles per hour. Okay, so looking up here, the one I want to know is the rate, so therefore rate is equal to distance divided by time. Therefore 600 divided by 8 is equal to 75 miles per hour. That's how fast I'm driving. So you see how we do these. If we need to know the distance, we multiply rate times time. If we need to know time, we're going to divide distance by rate. If we need to know our rate, we're going to divide distance by time. So there's different things that are required each time. Okay, now let's look at one of the more complex problems. My next one says, if two people leave a certain town at the same time, heading in opposite directions. Okay, so looking at our scenarios, they're leaving at the same time in opposite directions. Is it going to be this one, or this one? Obviously, this is the only one that has you start at the same time and go in opposite directions. Therefore, our formula will be the distance of the first one plus the distance of the second one is equal to the total distance. So let's draw a quick picture of that. Here's where they're leaving from, one going that way, one going this way. Okay, now it says, how long will it take them to get 300 miles apart? So my total distance is 300 miles. If one person is traveling 40 miles per hour and the other one is traveling 60 miles per hour, and we want to know what our time is. How long will it take them means time. So the distance of the first one is 40 times whatever time it takes, plus my distance of my second one is 60 times whatever time it takes, and that's going to equal my total distance, which is 300 miles. Now, add these two, 100 times t is equal to 300, divide by your 100, and I get my t is equal to 3 hours. So it's going to take them 3 hours to get 300 miles apart. We could do this another way. We could do it by trial and error. I could draw a quick chart. I have my 40 miles per hour, my 60 miles per hour, and my time. Okay, if it's 1 hour, that's 40. That one goes 60. My total distance between the two is 40 plus 60, which is 100. 2 hours, this one is 80, because 2 times 40. 2 times 60 is 120, and that's 200 miles apart. Okay, and the last one, 3 hours, gives me 120 miles, and 3 times 60 is 180 miles, making 300 miles. So you can tell by trial and error that 3 hours is how long it is going to take them to get 300 miles apart. So you see there's more than one way to do many of these kind of problems. Okay, now let's look at another one. This one goes back to geometry. In the homework, you'll have others that are like the other one or two that you can do. So there will be more than just this one, but this gives you an idea about it. Okay? The next one says, a rectangle is 5 inches longer than it is wide. Well, here's my rectangle. This is my width. This is my length. It says that it is 5 inches longer than it is wide. So if I let my W, my width, equal X, my length has to be my width plus my 5. So there, that X represents width plus 5. Now remember your perimeter. It goes on to say, if the perimeter is equal to 50 inches, so this is important. That's the unit of measure that this is going to use. What are the dimensions of the rectangle? Which means we want to know what is the width and what is the length. So using our perimeter formula, you have 50 is equal to 2 times my width plus 2 times my length. So 50 is equal to 2x plus 2x plus 10 because of the distributive property. 2x plus 2x is 4x plus 10 is equal to my 50. Subtract my 10, and I end up with 40 is equal to 4x divided by 4, and 10 is equal to x. Therefore, since my width is x, my width is 10 inches, and 10 plus 5 is 15 inches is the length. And the last one uses a formula. And the formula is this. F equals 9/5 times C plus 32. This is Fahrenheit temperature is equal to 9/5 times Celsius temperature plus 32. And then we're told find C when F equals 100. Okay? So this becomes basically just solving this equation. F is 100, so 100 equals 9/5 C plus 32. Subtract your 32 from both sides so you can isolate your 9/5 C. 100 minus 32 is 68 is equal to 9/5 C. I'm going to put my C on top with my 9 and multiply both sides by 5. And that's going to give me 40, carry my 4, 34, 340 equals 9C. And then divide by 9. So my C is equal to 340 over 9. And that really doesn't reduce, so I'm going to let you use your calculator to get an approximation of 37.78 degrees. Okay? And that's it for the word problems. And that's the end of this lesson. And you have a worksheet to work on. There's 14 word problems. So hopefully we can get together online if you need help. And holler, don't just sit there frustrated. Let's work it out, okay? Good luck.